Event about sales tax.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Golden Guys. Thank you for being here. And no, we're not talking about accounting or anything else like that. We're cutting up the cheesecake, having a good time with everybody. Right now, we're sitting around the table, having a drink or two. And the first topic of the night, first of all, hello. Let me introduce everybody here. And the first topic will come from one of these guys. Let's go first off to someone who's usually late, so let him start off here. Knights of Old.
Cheers, everybody. So you want the topic for me?
Well, whenever you're ready. But we got to introduce DS as well.
Yes. Introduce everybody.
Yeah.
DS.
What's up, everyone? I'm here.
And Paulie, how we doing?
Doing good, everybody. Cheers.
Check out Paul's artwork if you can. It's really good. He does a great spray paint on canvas, so it's really nice. So how's everybody been? I know it's been a while since I've been live on YouTube. I've been away. I got back this morning. I flew in this morning. I'm refreshed. Vacation mode still. So what do we got going on, everybody? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, I've been out of the loop because, like you, I was out of town also. I just got back today. Didn't have my No Safe Faces chat yesterday. Haven't watched really any YouTube videos. Just caught a few things about like MCU premieres. I think a lot of people are in that, so I don't know if we want to. I don't have too many thoughts on it anyway, but I don't even really know what's going on. I just got back in town today, so.
Well, Knight's got a good topic about Overstreet. And,
That's right. About the new Overstreet. Some may say I'm a sucker, but I've been a sucker for a great many years now. And
we're using paper to buy paper. Remember that.
It's like a ritual. You know, I like the market reports, even though they're like a year old. But to me, it's kind of like I still like the prices. Like it gives me I don't know, kind of like a layman's kind of valuation of comics. Like I still feel like it's at the lowest point. It's still kind of valid. So it's exciting when stuff, gets adjusted. And, he tries to adjust things. But, yeah, I mean, especially in the pre-code horror, like I noticed that is particularly bad. But I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to get it every year.
Yeah, I like the articles and stuff inside. And Overstreet does have value, even in the golden age. Like we always say, we can't really use it, but you can to a certain extent. There's not as much movement, but you can. It's a guide. It's a, But usually when you're buying golden age books, you say how many times book value are you paying. So it's like $1,000 in the Overstreet guide. You spend $3,000 in the book. You say, I did 3 times book, which is very common in the golden age.
Yeah, it has been for quite some time, and I mean it's. I consider it like a baseline for the pricing. It just gives you somewhere to work off of to get an idea. And like you said, the articles are great, and just for information, it's invaluable. Publication dates. One thing, and if you start collecting golden age, is numbering is fuck all crazy. You'll have issue 13, 14. Then 2, then 8, then 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, you'll have a series that starts at 8. A lot, There's no 1 through 7. Oh, it came from this. No, it's 8 because we were over there and we ran out of topics.
And then the Postal Service catches on to them, and then the next issue is number 1.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, this is the last Overstreet I bought. And people might remember this one.
Oh yeah, the Harley Quinn.
16, 17. This is number 46. Harley Quinn on it. I'll tell you, look, it's kind of something that if you're really involved in the hobby, you buy an Overstreet guide because it's like the thing you're supposed to do, and it's cool to have them. The articles are good. I actually like seeing the ads from dealers, but the meat of it, what it's actually meant to be, is not why people buy it anymore. The prices, the values, completely useless and irrelevant. It's occasionally good to look up a book to see if there's a note in there. But you got CGC website, you can go on and look up the notes on their labels. You got GPA for values. You got My Comic Shop. You got eBay for prices. It's a volatile market. There's an internet now. Everything's available. I find that this book is completely useless to me as
What's an internet?
a seller or investor for value. But it's cool. But you know what? It's not even cool enough for me to spend $20 on or 15 or whatever it goes for. I don't even, it's not worth it that much to read a couple articles. They have top 10 lists of different genres. Those are completely, they're just useless. They're not even, they're way off base. The values are wasteful. It's just, so, I mean, yeah, it's a cool little thing to have, but for values in the day of the internet, this tome.
Yeah, I think the name price guide to that Overstreet is kind of misleading because for Golden Age especially, but I'm going to just say that it really has a lot more than just the price. When you look at the descriptions, like Knights was saying, it's got the right information. And like you said, you can go on any internet and go get that thing, whatever an internet is. But you can go all there and go find all that stuff. But I always said that, like, this is the thing that everybody says. What does Overstreet say? You know what I mean? What people don't say, what does my comic shop say? They may in the future, that may be common, or what does this say? If they always say, what does Overstreet say? Because at every con you go to, when you're dealing and stuff like that, every dealer's going to have a copy of that book. Every dealer's going to have a copy of that book. And they use it for other things,
They use it to rip people off.
Yes. And sometimes they don't know what's in it,
The last two cons I went to, I brought slabs to sell to dealers, and I was successful. And every dealer I went to with the book, one of them was a Hulk 181. None of them pulled out the Overstreet guide. None of them.
Oh, no. They don't have to put it on for you.
GPA'd it. I had Golden Age books. They all tried the GPA data, and of course there wasn't much for the Golden Age books I had. And nobody reached for the Overstreet book. I didn't see. I was at Heroes Con. I didn't see anybody flipping through that for value. I mean, I'm sure people did, but it's not even something I noticed. I think it's sort of like a novelty in the hobby at this point. But the articles are cool. I like the articles, but that's like the first,
25 pages, 30 pages.
10% of the book or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of an irrelevant novelty these days with some cool articles. And I do like the ads, honestly. I like seeing the dealer ads, and it's just, but it's not worth it to buy just for that for me. And the values are it's not useful.
I actually think the best book Overstreet does is the How to Grade Comics, by far.
Yeah. That's I always have that one handy.
If this was something where we had to swear an oath and put your hand on the Bible, I would make everybody do that one.
Yeah, everybody should have one of these. This is a totally different.
That is the book to have. Where is mine? I realize I'm sitting over there with it, going through some stuff to send to Paul.
I think I actually have two different editions of that, just because.
Yeah. I have one with the Flash on it, I think.
Oh, that's the original one. I have that one too.
I have one with the 4 comics on it, the most recent. No, I have the Silver Surfer one.
The first edition was the one that had Showcase 4 on it.
Yeah.
Is it still good?
Some of the stuff has changed. That was back when they used to talk about the Overstreet whiteness level and the
owl
number. Yep, the owl number.
Yeah. I mean,
with an owl card.
Yeah, but that book is I can't even explain how it changed everything for me. It made me say, wow, I'm really undergrading for this, but I'm way overgrading for that. What I considered a major flaw, they didn't consider a major flaw. And what I considered, it happens. Death nail, it's like, oh, wow.
Now, granted, CGC does not exactly follow the Overstreet grading standards.
I'm not
pretty
saying
close.
CGC, but if you're buying and selling raws,
oh yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times I tell people I use Overstreet guide to base this on every time I sell a raw, and usually when I sell my CGCs, if it's a slab, I just say here it is, whatever.
And it will be pretty close to what CGC
I tell them exactly what I noticed on there, and I try to take them the 12 pictures up per raw that a lot of people want. If you're selling a book that's $500 or more, or I guess 1,000 now, but this was years ago when I was doing this all the time. Through weird websites, there was like, obviously the CGC one's probably the one I've been on the longest. So.
Yeah, this book is helpful too. I mean, it's really helpful to help you learn how to grade, but it's got a lot of good info in it as well. It's got a lot of picture examples, a lot of definitions. It's really crucial if you're really into the hobby. It's different than CGC. I think CGC initially used this, and then they surveyed a bunch of people, and they sort of have revised this time into sort of their own scale. It's pretty close, but there's a couple things where CGC and this vary widely.
Yeah.
Cover, you can have a detached cover. CGC can give it a 4, and here the highest you're getting is a 2.5.
Right.
That's
the one that I was thinking.
I think the other one is
it's close to the grade of a book, and it's got a lot of. It's more than just my learning how to grade your own book. This has a lot of info about the grading sort of academic area of what is grading, the different parts of the book, the different terms, some history. It's got a lot of that, but this is not going to help you determine what CGC is going to get your book. It'll get you close on that, but I find it useful for so many other things that relate to grading.
Yeah.
Good to have, even if you're not sending stuff in CGC at all.
Like explanation of things that I did not know. The true explanation of what the damage was when somebody would use a term. I'm making one up right now. It was slippery or whatever, and it would give you the definition of. Well, a good example was foxing.
Yeah, I was going to bring up foxing.
Foxing is one that I've gone to I've listened to other guys, like a seller talk to another guy. He goes, "That's just foxing," and I'm like, "That's mold. That's not foxing." You know,
the difference between mold and foxing.
There's a huge difference between that, and everybody thinks. And I see this so often. Guys and these usually key books. I see it on like your Hulk 181s or in the Golden Age, especially. I don't see it ever in pre-code horror because most of the time I'm not going to that section as much, so I can't vouch for any of this. But I usually see it in superhero and stuff, and a lot of that is the early Journey to Mysteries and the early Atlas books. I see a lot of people handing that's foxing. There's no way there's foxing on those. That paper doesn't fox like the 60s and 70s stuff. It doesn't do that. But that is, buddy, is you got mold all over those books.
Good explanations of Marvel chipping, dust shadow.
What Marvel chipping is, yeah. The effect, why when on a Marvel book oh boy. See, this is why I don't like.
Don't crack your cases.
I'm not cracking them. So why here in this portion here, a break here is more like is less damaging, or a piece missing up here is less degrading than this over here because it's spine versus anywhere else in the book. You have a 1/4 inch triangle, rectangle, all that stuff is really good. So I just wanted to that's some of the things. You're right. The terms, the glossary is really, especially because you want to make sure you're not getting taken or anything else there. When you buy a raw book and it says it's got Marvel chipping and foxing, and you've realized it's just got cuts out of it and mold. So just
how do you tell the difference between foxing and mold?
The foxing and the mold and there.
Yeah, how do you tell the difference?
Oh, from sight.
Yeah,
it's green, and and the foxing doesn't occur the same way. It's not like Paul, when I gave you that Silver Surfer 3 that I actually cleaned the back of.
Yep.
First appearance of Mephisto. I have it right here. Okay. This is in a book of stuff heading to CGC right now. Right. So this one right here, this has the print error that you got here?
Yep.
I asked somebody about it, and he said, no, that's foxing. I'm like, he's not foxing. If it's like this common thing I hear people
just throw out foxing if they don't know what it is.
All the time. That's, but there's, this one here, if you could see here in the top, see that?
Hard to see.
Mold. That's mold, not foxing.
Foxing is usually like red, and I mean,
right, and it's almost like it's almost perfectly circular. It's not like blotchy like that.
They could be spotted.
Yeah, it's very spotted. Yeah, the print error is kind of cool though.
Yeah, I was like, I opened it up. I'm like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And it won't lower the value of the book because it is a
No,
print.
no, it's actually, if anything, they'll be like, holy cow. Pretty cool error. That's nice, though.
Yeah, I find the different. A lot of people.
If you ever want to get a book pressed, Paul, look at this job he did on this book. I gave him probably about a 6.5, and I believe this possibly an 8, if not higher.
That's square bound too. Those are tougher to press. I haven't pressed one.
So I wanted to shout out the chat real quick, and then we'll get back to some Overstreet. I apologize when I have TJ, first guy in the chat. Great to have him here. Perry Comics, how are you? Bake the Snake, nice. Evan, thank you very much. Marvel Hunter, Mr. Gretzky. Thomas Wayne, how are you? Very cool. Comic Book NYC, very nice. Paul in the chat and DS in the chat. Okay, Mr. Gretzky, how we doing? We've got here Old Wolf, how we doing? Very nice. Conquistadorks, nice. Very cool. Ricky Markstad, how are you? We got Old Wolf, I already said him, but that's okay. Wuhong, how are you? Nice to have everybody here. I'm going to give Chaos and Comics. Very nice. Chris Barrett, how are you, true believers? And that's it. So one of the things I did notice in the chat was people were talking about saying, I never really used it for that or something there. It's just kind of, everybody's kind of active about it and everything else. Is there any other print sources that aren't internet based that you like doing? Gerber's.
Yeah, Gerber's.
You guys
Guy, I mean,
sweating on the Gerber's, right? Love the Gerber's.
Yeah, I use the Gerbers all the time since Knights of Old sent me 2 for free. Awesome. I love those things all the time. Those are the only things I have 24/7 all the time sitting out on my table, which they're there right now are the Gerber guides. Everything else is put up, even the comics. Everything else comes and goes from this table. The Gerber guides stay. So those are permanent.
So they have the DS seal of approval?
Wow.
Yes. And I went so many years without them. This is the first time I've ever owned them. I'm so happy I have them. Yeah, thanks, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, Bear Island. I was on vacay for a little while. Good having you, my friend. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. I had went on vacation. It was really good. Just got away for a while. Exactly. I would say the Gerbers for you. I love the Gerbers. I know a lot of people that I don't have them, but I'll get them eventually. When I get more into finishing out some things I want to do. But there's print stuff.
They're called the American Comic Book Chronicle, and they've done one for the 90s, one for the 80s, one for 70s, 2 for the 60s, 1 for the 50s, and next month or like any day now or any week now, they're doing the first Golden Age one, early Golden Age from 40 to 45. So I'm looking forward to that. They're done by Roy Thomas, kind of heads it up, and it's his like 2 Morrows is the company, but they're awesome. They got so much awesome information and all these timelines that are really fun to look at. Like let me find one here. So it's got like 1994, and then it goes timeline about like what happened in the real world and like then some of the key comic stuff that happened during that time. But they're real fun.
Nice.
That's one thing in print that I like a lot.
So anybody in the chat, does anybody and think of any print sources or hard copies if you want to see resources used? Not, I mean, I don't mean trade paperbacks or something like that. Like something you would use. Like I swear by that Overstreet is my favorite thing is the grading one. That's like I swear by that. I do, I'm not saying art books, but I do have art books. I've got all the Buscema's, Simonsons, all those IDW big ones. Got the when I move, those things are ridiculous. I've got every one of them pretty much.
I've mentioned these before. I showed the horror comic one. They have science fiction, but they also have superhero comics, the Golden Age, and superhero comics, the Silver Age. They go through the entire history timeline of everything, and then at the back,
Black Terror on front.
Yep,
you got a Black Terror.
I've seen that one.
Yep,
I've seen that.
And then inside, it's got a list of like virtually every comic book in the Golden Age and how many issues it ran, some of the creators that were on it.
Nice.
Very
and
cool.
another awesome thing about these books, which I love, is so they're super, super, super anal about where they get any information. So they have tons of pages in the back of like, you know, works cited, and it just lists tons of websites and other books and everything. Like you could just look through all the cited from, you know, every chapter has like 50 websites and stuff where they get all this information. So that's really been really fun to find other stuff.
Another thing I reference a lot, I still have all my old
Oh, yeah,
comic
I
book
love those.
marketplaces. Had
Yep.
tons of interviews with creators who are no longer with us, and just lots of history of golden and early Silver Age stuff.
One thing I do, print copies that I still keep them. I have like I think about 60 or 65 of them. Wizards.
Yeah, they're
I
fun.
love Wizards. I mean, I love the Wizards. I mean, that's a print source that and like I said, they're readily available for me. So because I want to go back and remember what, you know. So a lot of it is the image stuff, and I'm looking for new things to read, or you know, where it came from, and especially now that you've got all this stuff going on in the there. But one of the cool ones, the first time Snikt was ever used. They talk about that in the interview with Chris Claremont in there, and it's just good stuff. I mean, I like this kind of stuff. So.
And it's fun to look at their top 10s and see how wrong
They have a price guide in here. It's a little bit crazy, but 1993. Let's look at. I don't know how much they like Detective Comics. They don't start until 225. So you can see where we're going with that. You're not going to get too much golden in here. But books were, but it is what it is, Good stuff. Amazing Adventures 10. But real cool. That's another print source I like. So, looking here in the chat. No, look at people like the Wizards. Beckett, yeah. Beckett. I forgot there was a Beckett guide. Thomas Beckett did one. Did he buy CBCS? Is that official or?
Yeah.
So I wonder if. He might be coming out with something then, because last I heard that wasn't there. So, but it's cool, also molding and water damage. When I mean molding, a lot of times it's this. You see it on the sides of the box that it's in, the short box, and that stuff doesn't come off. I mean, Paul,
once you got mold on there, the spores actually intertwine with the paper fibers. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's real hard. I mean, there's so many books that people say, oh, it's just a stain. I'm like, stains. A lot of stains can be rubbed in a way by these restorers and stuff like that. But and then that's not considered restoration.
Yeah, I mean,
the chat was mentioning these.
Nintendo Power.
Those are pretty fun to buy if you find them cheap. They're pretty cool.
Nice.
He's in the
I think
chat.
that
I
might be
think
still going.
Seawood has a pretty good Nintendo Power collection, I think.
The video games are going nuts. I see every table in San Diego Con had like Super Mario's and Zelda's graded on there. And
They certainly don't have any comics.
yeah, I was going to say a few things about the mold. There's a good discussion going on here.
Yeah, Evan had a great point here. Mold is invisible until after the infection. If you have a book in your collection with visible mold, you've got spores everywhere just waiting on a bit of moisture. Yeah. The reason why you avoid moldy books, the number one reason is it can spread.
what about if it smells like it's moldy? But you
Yeah,
don't-
I mean, here's I ran into something here, and this is how crazy it is. We bought a guy, like a bunch of us bought a collection a while back, and honestly, it was old comics. They were all Golden Age stuff, and it was like a short box of books, or maybe a short box and a half, I think. And they were from a cigar shop from the 50s, and they were, the smell of them was overwhelming. I mean, literally, these books smelled like a cigar. I mean, you could have rolled them, and it was great. But everybody said, "Man, we're never gonna get." That affected it. I know people said that that smell is bad. So it is what it is, you know.
I got
Yeah, I think there's three things that really affect like
They're-
books. There's like particulates. If you get a stain and it turns brown, that's probably just because of dirty substances in the water that stained it or whatever the substance was. But the two things that are, and that's not going to spread. It's going to do the damage and sit, and that's that. It'll dry up and whatever. You know, markers, dirt, oil, that stuff doesn't spread. It's there. Some comes off, some doesn't. The two things that will progressively get worse, other than rust on the staples, but just for the paper, is bacteria and mold. And mold, there's spores everywhere in the world on everything all the time. Every single comic book, every piece of paper has spores on it. They're on everything in the world everywhere. But they need specific circumstances to grow. They need moisture, and most of the time they have a certain temperature range, and a lot of times they're light sensitive. If you get those three conditions right, the mold will grow. If you've got if you see
It's storage locker nightmare. Storage lockers.
exactly, spotting is where the mold has started to progress. It had the right conditions. It started to grow. You can arrest the growth, but it's not going to go away, and you're not going to get it out. But always mold will look like little dots. It'll be either green or black or gray or brown. You'll see spotting. Whenever you see spotting of any color, that's mold, and it at some point had the right conditions to grow, and it will stop if you remove those conditions, but it's not going to reverse. And it's not coming off the paper because it grows into the paper.
It's stuck there.
A lot of times, when you smell, a lot of times you'll have old books or paper that's wet and it will smell. That's not necessarily mold. You know, a wet paper, it's, you know, a mildewy type smell could be bacteria or just the wet, old sort of paper and the chemicals in it sort of coming out into the air. It's tough to identify. Mold doesn't really have the smell that, you know, a bacteria or just rotting paper will have, which is not necessarily mold. So the smell doesn't give away the mold, but the spots definitely.
Yeah.
But water is crucial. If you have water, you're going to have mold. You're going to have all sorts of bacteria. You're going to have damage. Water is crucial. Keep them dry, and you'll
be fine. Yeah.
Dressing.
Often at times I avoid when people say, "Hey, I got a storage locker with a lot of comics. You want any?" I kind of have always been told it's probably the worst situation if you will have mold, and once you take it out of there, and if you don't have mold around you, you stop it from spreading. But you've got books that are beyond repair, you know. And sometimes molding is not severe, you know. Sometimes it's really bad. I mean, I always used to look at the size of people's long boxes when they were setting up a con.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I did look at long boxes. And I would look at all the sides of them. One of the good things TJ brought up was, yes, he's right. There is a book out there, the Men's Adventure magazines. For some reason, there's something in the paper that they fucking stink. I can swear like that.
Yeah, and that's whatever they made back in the day, the paper was mixed with
everything,
slushy like liquidy mix, and they would mix this stuff up. If you ever see how they make paper in the old days, and there's not a lot of bleaches or anything in it, so whatever they used to make the paper over time starts coming off of the paper. Whatever they used has that smell that has nightmares about.
Yeah, but those books, I remember that we would talk about that. So,
yeah, I got a bunch of dollar Silver Ages, which are cool.
Nice, I love those.
And they were with a bunch of other like 80s and 90s comics, and tons of those had like, you know, the waves of like severe water damage.
Right.
And they all stinked. And, you know, I couldn't pass up these for like $1. But
yeah, they're cool.
Smell so bad of like that water. And it's like, you know, sometimes a book will smell like cat, you know, piss or something, or like cigars or whatever. I think you can get rid of that maybe with the kitty litter box and all that. But
I don't know, because I have my 7 or 8 issues of Adventures into the Unknown I got from that cigar shop thing, and they stink to this day. Just stink. I mean, they're not even with any of the other books.
Yeah, I have to isolate them.
They're in a separate, like a Tupperware bin, because they stink. And they're not. And there's the one with the bat carrying the woman in the Pieta, you know, flying around. That's got to be close. That's a really good grade on that book. And I'm afraid if I send it in, it's just going to be, man, you send in this stank book. I think it's terrible. But one of, you know,
I think that would actually escape a slab.
Yeah, they're not airtight.
So have you guys had a stinky slab?
No, I've never had a stinky slab. The one I would have had a stanky slab would have been
That never smelled.
that I have a 3.5 in a Spellbound 3. No, that's the one with white pages. I forget which one it is. I have one that's
Get a cat piss smelling book and you send it to CGC. Will it, I mean, will they note that in the grade?
someone get a cat. Someone test the feline urine test. Give it CGC grades for that. We might get a new category. You might get a new label on that one.
According to the guy who used to work there, getting PGX books with the cat urine smell is not uncommon.
Oh, very cool. That's a tough statement right there. That's a good one though. Chris,
Yeah, I think the CGC are pretty airtight. I think they're sealed.
I don't know if they're definitely not waterproof. I know that.
I mean, they have to have some level of transfer.
Air.
They want the off gases to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty tight though. I mean, all you guys have seen, cracked slabs, have seen inner wells.
Right.
They're sealed pretty well. I think they're pretty much. I mean, nothing is 100% airtight. I think they're pretty well protected from the air. I think if you put one of your slabs in the cigar shop for 48 hours and then took it out and cracked the inner well up, I bet the comic would not smell like cigar smoke.
But I wonder what the grade would. I wonder if I'm grading a book that they're gonna mark how it's a death. Bad smoke smell is like I think Chris Barrett said it. It's
Death sentence.
yeah, because I have quite. I mean, I have of that collection. I know the Adventures of the Unknown are from that collection. There's a few elephants I have in that collection. The Nyokas were in that collection. There's a lot of old Playboys and shit in there from like the first ones that the magazine guy wanted. All of them, but they all stank. So stank.
Yeah, I think Silver Age Dave did a video a while back.
I mean, it's a cigar shop in I think Des Moines, Iowa. So
Silver Age Dave sealed them up in a container with some volcanic stones or something. I can't remember. It was like probably 6 or 8 months ago he did this video, and he put them in there on racks, open raw, and underneath the racks in the sealed big Tupperware bin, he had like volcanic rock, some type of volcanic rock, and he just sealed it up for like a year or 8 months or something. It was a while. But when he opened it up and took the books out, all of the smoke smell was completely gone and the books smelled perfectly fine. So might be worth going back and either message him or look at that, or if somebody else knows. But he used some type of volcanic rock and it removed the smoke smell entirely after a period of time. So
Yeah, Reaper Tate did one with cat litter. Same thing.
yeah, I've heard people use like he said they have it's like literally a Pyrex dish, and they put these beads underneath, and they put not mothballs but beads, and they put the books on it, and that's what they've been doing to get it out, and it works. But it's something that takes minimum of 6 months.
I hate the mothball smell too. Oh.
That's the worst because that's what most common. I mean, when you go to Golden Age, when you are going through a bin of Golden Age books, it's mothball, smoke. It's constantly hitting you left and right. So you're never gonna know.
You guys ever had a bug inside a Golden Age? You're flipping through and a crushed, dried, desiccated bug falls out the middle. That got
that never happened to me, but that sounds fun.
Yeah, I found that before.
Nice. I know I have somebody's phone number I might call one time just because she sounds like a good time in one of my Golden Age books. So
Yeah,
I've heard
sometimes.
people find money in them.
she's probably in her 90s now, but you know what?
My local comic shop. He's found multiple $100 bills in comics that he had at his shop. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's real cool. I've never found money in a comic.
TJ says a couple of days with dryer sheets. I wonder
Make sure they're the unscented dryer sheets. So.
oh yeah, because then CGC is gonna be like, smell this thing. What is this? Something that's man.
You know what I find though? Here's what I do. You know, if you're buying Golden Age, you're going to get books that smell a variety.
You're expecting it, yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible to avoid with Golden Age books. And I do buy a lot online, but generally, what I do, and this works, 90% of the time to get 90% of it off, is just get the book raw and leave it open to the centerfold, like propped up a little bit so it doesn't, mess up the book, and just leave it open and let it be open to the air for like 24 or 36 hours in a nice dry place. And it gets rid of most of it. It dissipates away, and it's 90% better for most stuff. Now, if you have something that's completely been in a cigar shop for a year, that's probably coming out probably, but you can still just leave it out, let it sit out, and I notice it gets 90% of the odor of like smoke and just old air out of it if you just let it air out for like a day or two.
This smells just fine.
What is that?
Smells delicious.
That's the companion piece to the new one behind them.
Yep.
Yeah, here we go. Little cap
Oh, you got two of them.
nostalgia action. This is the one you're helping me clean some of this crap off. DS has been giving me hints on how to maybe get some of this. There's a bunch of like raised dirt and crap on this guy. So
Yeah, I would ask Paul too, because he's far more of an expert than me. I'm just beginning the process. We've tried a few things, but
yeah, we'll have to chat after.
Comic Man Andy, how are you? TJ says that he smokes and he never got a knock on his books. And look at TJ's books. Let's be honest. So I think it's more or less. Sometimes I've heard that it, but you never know. TJ could be right. His books could be that good too. This is a guy who, look at his Warren collections. It's ridiculous. It's great. So one of the other things I want to get to while we have 20 minutes left was last week was San Diego Comic-Con. And if you want to know anything about, you got Golden Age, you've got all these great things, you have got all these amazing rows and rows and rows of no comics. It's not a Comic-Con. Everybody told me that went there, and I was absolutely told them the same. And I've told them C2E2 was much better, but it still had not enough for me. There's more than when at smaller shops. I think more variety, but C2E2 was pretty good. But the absolute disaster San Diego Comic-Con was. I've heard, Mile High put out an article on their page. Hey, Comic-Con, where are the comics?
Yep. And some of the dealers on the CGC website were talking about one in particular. I think it was from some Knights of Old, said it's the worst con for them to go to. It's San Diego, because they have to send all their books across the country. They have to travel across the country. They have to stay at the hotel, and it costs more for their setup, costs more for the table, and they don't sell anything.
Yeah, that was Gator.
Yep, it was Gator.
Well, didn't he split a booth with Danielle?
Yeah.
They were splitting one because they didn't want to go full out on their own.
I mean, there's even at C2E2, JD was there with me.
Yeah.
If you're looking for an action one, if you're looking for a Cap #1, if you're looking for a Tech 27, you can get them there. You don't have to go to San Diego anymore.
You could go to. If you go to Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City, had plenty of books. Same dealers are all over the place. Dallas Comic. We know who the main dealers are. We're not going to advertise them, but we know who the main dealers are. And when you see them at cons, and these guys, they're all friends, but they're also competitors too. And they love. They don't really bash each other. They just they're like women. Like I said.
Yeah. And they're like, we were there before the show opened, and that's when you see them making all their deals amongst each other. They'll be checking out each other's booths, and they'll be like, "Hey, you got any of these?" Or
Yeah, a lot of what from the guys I'm friends with and the guys I asked to look out for me on a few things, and I get them. Is that there's this one book that I really want from one guy, and he just won't budge on it because he knows it's me, and that's the thing he said. He goes, he's gonna buy it. He's gonna have this book. He knows he's gonna have it.
I think I know who
I'm the only one that has it, and he wants it. He's the only one that has. He's like, that's good. Yeah, I know it's the highest one. It's the only one.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick says booth costs are 100% higher than any con, and only New York City is pricier for hotels. But I mean, it's New York City, so. And he said that this started about 15 years ago. So
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah. I
It's
went 20 years ago. I went 10 years ago. I've been to San Diego Comic-Con. I will tell you, I stopped going.
it's a pop culture convention. It's not a
I
comic.
was at I mean, you guys don't know. I went to Omaha Con, and that was not really a lot. Oh, there's some dealers, though. There was some books there that were interesting. You know, it was a rough time. I'm trying to get him to switch it. So was a lot of other people getting to switch it because it's so sandwiched right in the middle of summer in Omaha, and it's too freaking hot, and it's just a mess. But
it was my first con. My first ever con was San Diego Con 1986.
86.
And my dad, I was 12. I was big into G.I. Joe comics at the time.
Very cool.
And, my dad heard about it, I guess, and was like, "Here you go." And he like kind of dropped me off, and he like got me the badge and everything. And I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I was just like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." And it was all comics back then. I mean, it was,
I remember going not too far after that, maybe in the 90s, early. It was all that. I mean, that's where I can tell you. I mean, I have some books I got from there that I have slabs now. The Journey to Mystery, not 85, some of the 90s ones up. So I was, you know, discovering more and more dealers and negotiating and stuff like that as I, you know, started having my own money, you know, and, you know, no longer saying, "Hey, I want this," you know, when you got into it. So it was cool. One of the
having to take your
now
kids there someday?
I'm sorry?
Do you foresee having to, you know, get your kids to like comics and then eventually having to actually go there with them? And
You want to know? My
their
kids are
cosplay?
3 and 1. My
Yeah.
daughter has been to 4 Comic-Cons already. No, she's been to 8 Comic-Cons already, but she every year she's been to 2. And my son's on his 5th. So
you'll be going.
oh, we go all the time. But we
San
go.
Diego.
Yeah, I'm already pretty much penciling that in as a trip. We want to do that. I mean, the kids do like it, but they're just dressing up and running around and chasing some guy in a T-Rex outfit for 2 hours, and I didn't care. You know, it was good. You know, but you know, I like cons, but I go to cons a lot by myself, and I go to other cons, and I will say that I go to cons to. I'm a book hunter, Paul. You know,
Yep.
Books. I'm a book hunter. I like getting art, but I actually go to the guy who says, "Take your time. I'll see you at the end of the con on Sunday. This is what I want. See you then."
The last one I went to was 1990, and it says here, and I thought it was insanely crowded, like, and it was 13,000 people, and the latest one was it's getting like 150,000 people or whatever. I don't know if I could deal with that.
Early 90s is about when it started to switch from being a comic convention to a pop culture convention.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. 90, it was getting rough to get signatures, but you still didn't, there was no like tickets or nothing. You'd still wait in line and you'd get your book signed. You could bring like a pack and all this. And like Marlene and all that.
I actually like the smaller cons in a lot of ways because one, you know, there's less competition for what you're going for. You're more likely to get a deal from a dealer because he's not paying a ridiculous amount for his table that he's got to recoup.
Yeah.
You know, and you see different dealers. You know, like you go to the big cons, like JD said, it's all the same guys. You know, you can even when we were at C2E2, I'm like, "Where are you guys going next?" And they're like, "Oh, we're going to this one, and then we're going to this one." You know, the big dealers that hit the big cons, they're all the same.
Yeah. You know, they say the best Golden Age con is Terry's Con. It's like a small, very kind of.
There's one in Oklahoma that I've been to, which would make it crazy.
Have you been to Terry's Con?
No, is that the? I know Terry. At the one. Where is that one? There's one in Oklahoma.
In California.
Oh, there's one in California.
He's a well-known Golden Age forever.
Yeah.
dealer.
I've heard of it because it's been talked about on the.
And it's only comics, only Golden Age dealers. And
Yeah, you always hear about that on the CGC site when like guys are doing their Terry comic sales. You know, they're doing their sales to get money to go and to buy, because that's honestly, I heard it's good. But the one in Oklahoma, it's weird. It's not like a hotel thing. It's like a VFW, and they rent it out, and each section of the Golden Age or Atomic Age, pretty much. There's superhero section, there's pre-code horror guys, and but it's all mixed and everything else. But you ask them questions, and they'll tell you, "I'm not going to have it, but did you check Joey?" That's exactly what they do at small cons. He's got a major Fox run or a major Fawcett run or whatever you're into, and they reciprocate that back and forth. But it's always pretty good. The one thing I don't see that a lot in the other cons, because even though they're all friends, at the same time, they're all showing the same shit. They're all showing
cash.
I mean, it's so hard to find like I looked for one book, let's say, one of the Golden Age books. I went there for Voodoo 11. I got the only one in the place. Was it the nicest copy? Looks great, detached cover, but what am I going to do? But it's beautiful, though. Gorgeous. I'm happy. So, but I got the only one there. And then after that, Paul, after I got that, I said, I'm done. I paid $50 for that thing, $40.
Wow.
I mean, it's
$40.
It was so funny at C2E2 watching how things were different. Like when we were showing off the books we got, and some of the people had stacks of like 100 books. You and I think I bought 5 books.
6. I bought 6. Yeah. 3 gold, 3 silver.
Yep. But that's we probably spent about the same amount.
I got a really good Strange Tales 118. I got a really nice Thor, I think 151, the one with the Destroyer on it. And what was the other Silver Age book? And then the Golden Age books I got the Voodoo 11. I got a pre-code horror book. I got the first Dracula.
DS saving for Baltimore Con, right? Is that it?
Yep. Baltimore's my next one. Yeah, I'm not going to say here, but it's not Golden Age books, but whatever's hot right now that everybody's talking about. Thank you.
Well, I've only gone to 2 cons pretty much ever, and they've all been recently since I've sort of gotten really into Golden Age. But I went to Heroes Con in Baltimore last year. It's not, if you're into Golden Age like me, cons are good because sometimes that's a place where you can find some big, rare Golden Age books that you're not necessarily going to see on eBay. Some of these dealers there, you know which ones, they don't sell online. You're going to find one of their books, you got to go to the con where they're at.
Lee.
That's basically why I go, is to find stuff that's there
that
I'm not going to find, sit around and wait on the con.
Yeah. DS brought up one particular dealer we can mention because he doesn't have online stuff. Lee. Harley Lee, yeah. He's got a really good stuff and
always has. I mean, he's been around since the 80s.
Yeah, but you have to go. But you've only been able to find him at cons, and he's at a lot though. He's at the major ones. He's at C2E2. He's at. I'm sure he was at San Diego. I think what's his home? I think he's from California, right?
What's that?
I think he's from California, right?
I think so.
I think he's based out of there.
But he goes everywhere all year. He's like the hardest working guy.
Yeah, and he's so good to negotiate with.
No, he's out of Michigan.
Oh, he's out of Michigan.
Yeah, Livonia.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the 2 cons I went to, Baltimore last year and then Heroes this year, I ended up buying books off Rick both times. And he always has great stuff that you're only going to see at cons. He doesn't sell online, on eBay. Sometimes he'll send chunks of stuff like a Centaur collection to Comic Connect, but man, it's worth it just to go to those cons for me, just to see his booth, because he has such killer stuff, and it's not all super high expensive. Although if you want to spend $100,000, you can easily do it at his booth. But I've bought stuff off of him both times that are hard to find. I'm not going to find it, otherwise. So that and meeting people from YouTube community or Instagram at Heroes Con was fun. And yeah, but I mean, if I'm looking for like superhero books, which I do shop for a lot, but most I pretty much have no problem finding those on eBay or some of the auction sites. But the Golden Age stuff that's hard to find, the cons are good because some of those dealers don't sell other places and they don't put all their big books online. They bring them around the cons. So that's a good place to find some rare books. And then, like you're saying, Harley Yee, there's books that you can dig through and find stuff. It's really worth it, especially for Golden.
Yeah. I recommend if anybody does see Harley Lee at any con, please take the time and just have fun. I mean, he's really cool with you touching his shit. He's good. I mean, don't go, throwing kitty litter and pissing on it just to test it. But
and he knows where everything is.
Yeah. I asked him. I said, he's like, which one you looking for? I said it was and it was the Strange Tales 118. He goes, over here, and he pulled it out. And then I really wanted this Journey to Mystery 87. Beautiful copy. I thought it was like a fine plus, and I think we were talking like around 300 for it, which it's a little risky bet because if it's not that, you kind of lose a little bit. But it was a fair deal, and I was feeling comfortable about it. And then on Sunday when I went there, I asked him what happened to the book. He goes, "Dude, the guy behind you, as you walked away, bought that book." And I was like, "You fucker."
Yeah, if you're into Golden Age, another good Super World. Ted has
good.
A lot of Golden Age.
But Ted, you got to watch Ted's grading.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've said it before, and not directed towards him, but I get really frustrated with some of the grading practices by a lot of dealers. It seems to be like you just need to know how each dealer's grading relates to your own, or you might get disappointed one way or the other. So it's not like, yeah, I get disappointed with dealers grading being all over the place. So once you learn, just ask around people who know the dealers how they grade, because that's how they grade. And all the dealers sort of grade different. A lot of these guys are old school. They're not going by
80s. They do not. I mean, I heard. I was going to ask you, DS. Have you ever asked them about sending books in? A lot of these guys don't even send books into CGC.
I mean, Ted has all raws. I mean, he's got a couple slides, but it's all raws. And he's got books that I'm looking at. He's got books that would be the highest or second highest on the census of Golden Age books. And I talked to him the last time at Heroes Con, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what's the highest on the census." And I looked it up, and his would have been probably second highest. It's a killer book, and it was a pretty rare gold book. And he's not getting stopped. He just throws a price on it, and it's raw on his wall.
My buddy's got a nice
guys who do send them though, like because I've been around in the early hours of the con and watched their shenanigans, and they just know what books will do well with the grading and what won't. And if it's not fit to them, I've seen them rip slabs out like a crack because they know it's going to sell better on their wall, not slab. And they get somehow I think they just because they just walk over to the CGC booth and I don't know, see them
Red Hood does that. Red Hood does that all day long. If it's an on-site grading, literally takes books all the first day. He just loads them up with he probably sees his bill. He said was well into the thousands and like multiple like $15,000 to $20,000 in slab fees, but he slabs them like 400. And then you have a guy like Ted, who my buddy bought the Suspense 8 from, and he also is Ted is a really stand-up guy because if you do question on it when you look through it later on, call him up. Store credit for the discrepancy, and he'll talk to you about it because Ted's a stand-up guy, and he's not going to fight over one small book or a medium-sized book, whatever. Ted's always been good. So
speaking of cons, though, for me, and this is what I want to vent about earlier, was this new law that, since I'm in the state of Washington, demands that I pay 10% sales tax when I order from, Heritage or even eBay, anywhere basically online, unless they're not, playing by the rules. I gotta pay that, and that's a game changer now. Like, because I had some really big grails I've been after, and like, if you're buying something, $10,000,
Mm-hmm.
I've
for
heard
not-
other people from Washington complain about that too.
but it's moving. It'll move to
Oh, it will.
maybe not New Hampshire, right? But it's going to be coming to every.
I mean,
state.
I don't have it in Nebraska. So.
When
Well,
I lived in New
probably
England, we
will.
talked about New Hampshire. They said the state motto's "Live free or die," and they really mean it.
yeah.
I mean, they have it in Virginia. I noticed I bought something on eBay 2 weeks ago, and I got charged tax, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" And so, yeah, it's Virginia. I'm doing. It's the same thing.
I don't have it right now.
It's just how it is. So you just raise prices on everything everywhere. Pretty soon it'll be every state, and then it will even out again. But
I'm just saying, those people who don't have that now, get your big books now. Like,
Yeah.
if you're
Or go to cons.
10%, and it might not sound like a lot, but for me, whenever time I buy a book, there might be a time where I'm going to upgrade it, right? So I know, all right, I might have to be okay with this price, because I have to, if I sell it, I'm going to eat 15%. That's about eBay and PayPal fees. But now I really have to know that I want that book, because I'm going to have to, if I want to upgrade, I have to pay 15% those fees plus 10% the tax I had to pay. I'm not going to, you're going to have to wait a bunch of years for that book to even go up that high for you to make your money. So, but bonds, you can often just give them cash and you don't have to pay the sales tax. So that's a thing.
Evan said the dealers he has. Yeah, well, yeah. If you go to a con, you're going to see a lot more Silver Age dealers than anything else. The bigger the con, the more common the Golden Age guys that we're talking. We're not talking about Silver Age dealers, by the way. We're just only talking about the same Golden Age dealers. There are Silver Age dealers. I mean, Harley Lee does a lot of Silver Age, and they all these guys do. But they also have Golden Age. There are some places that do not ever deal in anything post, maybe Hulk 181 or maybe a few superhero 60s books, but that's there. But if you go to smaller cons where you've known these dealers for a while, these dealers, what I notice is every time they try to leave the game, they always buy another collection,
Yep.
They always do. And that's why I keep going back. If I start seeing the same shit over and over again, so you're just not selling your shit or what? I mean, because I've seen the same books here for the last 8 cons, which is 2 years, because there's 4 a year of local con here that we go to. And it's pretty good. I mean, you get everybody from Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, a lot of people, Oklahoma, a lot of people come up from all around the Midwest with their books to this con 4 times a year. And, you never know. Bill Mendelson is one of the guys for all you Minnesota fans. He's one of the biggest deals in Minnesota, and he's been like, Golden Age is done because it's too hard to find right now. So,
well, I'll tell you, if I was in the market for like an AF-15 or an FF1 or even an FF-48, any silver stuff, the last place I would go to get that for my PC would be a con, because
I wouldn't do that at a con. No.
I mean, yeah, you can find those at cons, but the prices are higher at the cons. Asking prices, I don't negotiate for Silver Age, so I'm sure they come down a little bit. But I can buy an AF-15 in a 2.0. I don't need to go get a hotel room and schedule a trip to a con to get an AF-15 2.0. But I went to Heroes Con, and I'm a Golden Age collector, and Baltimore last year, and both of those cons had no shortage of rare books. There were books there that you never see Golden Age. And at Heroes Con especially, it seemed like it was mostly Golden Age in the entire room. And there was so much Golden Age. There were so many rare Golden Age books that you just never see. And it's just a killer selection of rare Golden Age books at Heroes Con. Baltimore last year was like that too, although it seems a little smaller than Heroes this year. But yeah, if you're hunting for silver or bronze keys, I hunt for those to flip, but you don't need to go to a con to find silver and bronze keys. They're everywhere.
There's enough auction stuff, like there's an eBay,
I mean, it's a cons a full experience, but if you're serious about filling out holes in your PC and it's all about books and you want certain keys, use Comic Link, Comic Connect, Heritage, eBay, Instagram, people you know, and you can find it. You don't need to go to a con to find, ASM1. I mean, it's everywhere. And the prices are not cheaper at cons, but, rare books, Heroes Con and Baltimore both had rare Golden Age books, a lot of them. I was impressed with both those.
But you will be able to get, I mean, maybe it depends on your negotiating skills, but like for me, if I buy a big silver key, like I bought a ASM one maybe 4 years ago or something. I just had cash, and he gave me a better price than anything I could find online.
Yeah, I do.
They don't want to pay the 10%.
Yeah, but I mean, did you pay for a hotel fee and travel expenses?
Oh yeah. I mean,
I didn't.
On the ASM1, you know what I mean? It's not. You're not making a hotel room for the weekend to get.
Well, yeah.
10%
I
off.
didn't travel, that's for sure. Yeah, it was a local one, so it's not like.
But even if I travel and I go to a con, I buy a big boy book, a Silver Age book. I do negotiate down; it's there, but I don't consider the hotel and there part of it because usually I'm having a good time at the con and having a good time. So.
Yeah, I mean, Heroes Con, it doubled as a vacation for me and my girlfriend to visit her family. So it was sort of like the travel expenses and everything weren't for the con. I sort of rode the coattails of a vacation. So that was great. And then Baltimore is right down the road from me, so I don't even need to get a hotel. I'll just drive back and forth each day. And it's, 45 minutes or whatever. It's not really that bad. So but those are the only two I go to. I'm not a big con guy. I mean, I buy most of my books online, and even rare stuff that I have some stuff that's pretty tough to find in my collection. Most all of it I bought, online. So I mean, cons are fun. They're definitely fun, but they're expensive. It's expensive to just go to a con, and I don't really want to spend that much money, except for those two. The only ones I'm planning on going to, Heroes of Baltimore. That's it.
You could also. What I like about cons is trading. I'll bring about
Trading. That's
yeah.
I talk about it all the time. I mean, I've traded at cons in front of people all the time.
Here's a
always pack it when I go to a con.
I don't know, you guys. I doubt you have it, but one thing, I was traveling around with, for some reason, I brought a bunch of Mickey Mantle cards that I had at the time, and I showed one of the dealers, Jamie Graham. I think he's a Graham Cracker Comics.
Okay, yeah.
He like went crazy. He's like, "What? Do you have any more?" And he like gave me really good prices on trading vintage baseball cards. So if you got any, bring them to that guy because he'll give you great deals on Silver Age and Golden Age for those.
Nice. Well, let me shout out the chat again one more time here. One of the things Evan said, but one of the great things that was mentioned out there, I think Evan said, cons are the king of the dollar box fillers. And that's the best thing about the cons, I think, is if you want to, you're looking for something to complete a run, there's nothing better.
If they have them, because my con here, the booth prices have been so expensive, and there's so many cosplayers who don't even buy comics, like it's not worth it for them. But I feel like it's getting a little better. Past few years, there's been more dollar bin kind of things.
Yeah, and just to be clear, my perspective on cons comes from somebody who, when I do go to a con, which has been 2 in the last 20 years, I don't dig through boxes. I walk around with cash and some books to sell or trade, and I look at wall books and I go for big, rare stuff. I don't dig through boxes. I cannot stand digging through boxes. I'm not a run seller. I'm not a box digger. I don't dig through boxes at cons. I look at walls. I talk to dealers. I buy some big stuff. I'll sell some slabs. I'll do some trades, and I have cash on me, and I just look at wall books. I'm not trying to. I can't do the box digging. So I mean, that's my perspective on it. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. If you're trying to fill runs and you like digging through boxes, cons are great. There's millions of boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not San Diego Con. I doubt there was that much dollar action in San Diego Con.
Yeah. Nobody could afford to bring those books.
Yeah.
So once again, I want to thank everybody. Comic Book Andy Bueller, thank you for stopping by.
Bueller.
Everybody, Manny, Chris Berry, good discussions going on tonight. I want to thank everybody for being here. Once again, Golden Guys, any of you guys got anything you want to pitch, shout out, talk about?
Well, I had some issues with CGC.
Ooh, let's get that on the table.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I got another hour and a half. Let's do it.
I literally have books there that are right now either scheduled for grading or graded right now.
So in the past month or two, I sent probably 10
I got 10 there now.
10 or 12 books, and some were standard. It was kind of a mix, and I sent a few different packages at different times. But I'd say all of them except 2 came back fine. So all in all, that's good, except the 2 that came back bad were the most expensive ones, and they were in walkthrough tier. And I'm dealing with trying to figure out what they're gonna do for me to send them back or whatever, and DS has been helping me with my emails to them, to try to, they at first they kind of offered me like, oh, send them back and we'll give you a $20 credit, and I'm just like, that's not even enough for me to
ship the book,
because when they're very expensive books, I can actually show them. So basically, and it kind of blows because I want to sell one of these pretty bad to pay for another book that I already bought. So here's one of them that I sent, Detective 36, and this came back. It was walkthrough, which they were a little slow on, but it came back with 2 other books, and they were just wrapped in a rubber band and only one sheet, only this. That's it. And the box was big, so they were definitely moving around in there. So it's not a big deal for me, but this, this stuff is all chipped off. The little raised, I don't know, notch here that lets them stack and all that. But if you try to sell this to someone, they're going to be like, "Oh God, you got to drop, $1,000 because of that." Ooh, so I have to have it good. And then this one, Wonder Woman,
love that book.
There's this. You're not going to see it here, but there's a chip, like a piece of, whatever, glass or whatever the hell this is made out of, embedded kind of in between the book and the case somewhere, right in the middle. And it's just does not look good. It looks like if you press it or something, it would cut right into it. And the same thing, if you try to sell this to someone, then it's going to be like, blah.
Yeah.
And walk through prices, and they get the percentage of what they think the book is worth, and all this is very expensive. So I'm pretty disappointed with that. I mean, all they had to do was just give it more packaging.
I mean, that's something where they have to own up to that,
Yeah, and TJ, Brittany's the one you want to talk to.
Yeah,
I'm talking to her, and I think it's going to work out fine. But really, I mean, any other business, I wouldn't have to negotiate hey, I'm going to send this back to you as my choice, however fast, and you're going to reimburse that, and then you're going to walk through it and get it back to me with very fast shipping for free. But most companies would also maybe and we're sorry about that. How about here's a voucher for a free grade? I didn't have to negotiate to get my shipping back. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had a couple issues like that with CGC, and let me say first, I use CGC exclusively. I'm mostly very satisfied with their grading, their product, and their service. Customer service is always awesome. Whenever I call, which is quite often, or email, I always get good, quick responses, and they seem responsive to my concerns. But what really is starting to become, it's becoming an ongoing concern. It's not quite a trend yet, but I see their Instagram posts and they're advertising for, we're going to be at this con, come see us at this con. They got group pictures of the CGC employees at the con, and they're doing all this other promotional stuff. And then the quality control and the actual big books that are coming back, like to him, there's some issues with. Look, if you call them and you want to talk to somebody and it's a Thursday, well, they're not there. They're at a con. They'll be back next week. They don't process a lot of stuff on Thursdays and Fridays, and because there's con stuff going on, it's like they're so focused on the cons and the marketing and all this other crap going on that the actual thing that's the core of their business is starting to suffer here and there to a lot of people. It's becoming noticeable when they're concentrating so much on other stuff on the fringe away from the core of what they're doing, which is grading and providing quality slabs and good fast service and shipping and safeness. And they've got, if you look on Instagram, they have a group picture of everybody that was at San Diego Con. Thanks everybody for stopping by. We had a great con, and there's like 15 CGC employees there. When I call on Thursday, talk to somebody, there's nobody there because they're at a con. Or I have to wait till Monday because the con's over. Look, I got books at CGC, okay? I'm the customer. That's what needs to be the priority, not sending 15 employees off to San Diego Comic-Con to get more submissions and drum up more business. Handle the business that you have properly. A woman coming in a walkthrough tier, and it's coming back with a shard of plastic inside the case.
That one of them is in it.
Oh, there's another one there that's cracked on the corner. That's a multi-$1,000 book as well. The Tech 36, that's an issue, and they really need to do something. I don't know, I'm not an insider, I don't work for CGC, but that stuff should not happen. I've had cases come back, 4 out of 8 in one case had diagonal scratches across. I had to send them back.
I had books recently with scratches on them, and there's say signature series ones. I'm like, God,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to use CBCS rather than CGC. I'm going to
say CGC,
better, but I mean, CGC could be doing much better on the quality control, because the packing and the shipping and whoever's handling the books when they're getting packed up is not doing a good job, because their cases are getting damaged and scratched when they're being packed. So whoever's in their packing and shipping department, that's where most of the issues are. But they've really got to spend more time there dealing with the customers that have books there, and less time sending 20 people to a con.
I mean, con season ends in October now and starts real early. It's getting to be where there's no off season for cons.
I guarantee you, anyone watching this video would never rely just on this to send someone over 15 grand worth of comics back and a rubber band, right?
Yeah, when you have more books, they come in those boxes with like that cardboard blocks. There's no bubble wrap. The blocks are pretty good, but they jam them so tight that when you get your submission and you go to pull one of the bags with the slab out, it's stuck. You can't even get it out.
That happened to me. I had to take the cardboard out first.
It's like they're going to scratch each other to even pull out. It tears the bags. They're packed too tight. There's some packing and shipping issues at CGC, and I think they need to be open 7 days a week, even if they're not handling customer stuff. Have people there working 7 days a week, have alternating shifts, hire some extra people just in packing and shipping or intake or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off. I don't work there. But
they can afford to pay them well so that they handle the books well, or whatever.
And I'm not saying you need more graders or whatever. I mean, they may or may not, but you can hire anybody unskilled to do packing and shipping as long as you have somebody in charge of that department that's overseeing it for good quality control. And the quality control is slipping a little bit, not to the point I'm going to use CBCS, but there's concerns. And a lot of people are starting to voice them. I've had them, you have them, a couple other people I've talked to. So, I mean, hopefully they'll, address this. But.
So, all right, everybody, that was our Golden Guys. Once again, thank you all for coming in here. And guys, I just saw some people come in here, John Z and Bonafide Comics. Great having you here. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being a friend. See you next time on The Golden Guys.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.